Welcome to a very special edition of the 25th Hour podcast, the Uncover Your Productivity Bottleneck edition. I'm your host, Lisa Crilly Malice, and I was able to speak with 4 different business owners who own 4 completely different businesses. And we used the Dream, Decide, Design process that I use with all my clients to help dig into and uncover their biggest current productivity bottleneck. We did it in 3 questions or less, and we actually did it in under 10 minutes. I invite you to listen in and see if you can identify with any of these 4 business owners and see if one of your productivity challenge is represented in this episode. Welcome, Adam, to another episode of Guess Your Productivity Challenge in 3 questions or less. I'm super excited that you're here.
Excited to be here.
All right. And for those of you watching right now, this is Adam McKee, and he is the owner of Contemporary Woods Furniture. And I just had an opportunity to look at some of his custom pieces, the tables and the cabinets and everything else. He's in Nebraska. However, he totally will ship stuff. So if you are looking for a unique piece for you, this is the guy. I am still enthralled by everything he just showed me. But anyway, back to your productivity piece. The first question I want to ask you is, what is it that stops you during the day from getting everything done that you want to get done?
I'm not doing my A priorities, like from clockwork, I add value to customers when I do designs on the computer. I add value to customers by prospecting and sharing our talents to new clients. I don't add value to clients by doing the sales tax and doing the admin stuff. And, this has been nagging at me for a while. It's a fire. I got to go put it out. That's not where I add value to clients. That's not my
right. It's not your QBR. It's not
my QBR. Yep.
Yeah. So how much time per day do you think you spend on non-QBR stuff?
70% of my time, at least.
Okay. So that was a follow-up question. Just for those of you counting at home, that was a follow-up. So question number 2, what have you tried so far to solve this challenge?
I've read David Allen's Getting Things Done, and I've implemented my email a little bit better. In fact, I have my email here. I should be closing it, so I'm not paying attention to that. But I've put email boxes together of action, quotes, calls, someday maybes, and trying to organize. And I'm still, even though I read that book 1.5 years ago, I'm still not disciplined enough to say, what's the next action step? Oh, I have to make a phone call, or this I have to, and it's, I don't know why it's so hard. It's ridiculous. And I probably need a support person, an assistant or a virtual assistant or somebody I could offload some of that to, but I'm always afraid of, it's going to cost more. I'll just do it myself. I'm in that like in between zone of, I know it's ridiculous, but I still do the same behavior.
Okay. And I just want to circle back to make sure that I understood the answer that you gave me correctly. You're spending 30% of the time doing the QBR. And for those people who have not yet read Clockwork, I don't know why you haven't, so you need to. However, that being said, that's your queen bee role, or I'll often call it zone of genius when I'm talking with my clients.
Okay.
You're 30% there, 70% not there.
It might even be as low as 15% some days,
Okay.
So.
Okay. So I don't think I even need my 3rd question right now for your productivity bottleneck. And it is to learn your productivity bottleneck is delegating. It is to figure out doing that trim trash transfer process in Clockwork. And it's to really dig into either who's your next hire or who's your next partial hire or whatever that piece looks like, but it's to start moving those things off your plate. How does that feel? Did I hit your bottleneck with 2 questions?
I think so. Yeah. The trim trash transfer Yeah, is a very important concept. And I have an excellent operations manager that I'm training. He's been with us for 3 years now. He's incredible. He takes on a lot. I'm always afraid to give him more because he's learning systems with me. He understands the importance of it, but he's not a systematic person. He has the same flaws I do. We'll answer the phone and we'll have the shiny object syndrome where, oh, customer sales. Yeah. Well, I'll just push this aside and, do that next, So there's a lack of trust that I have of, hey, I'm going to pile more and more stuff on you, because I don't want to see him fail. So.
Right. Which completely makes sense. And one of the things that I share with my clients is that delegating is a skill. We didn't pop out of the womb knowing how to delegate and delegate well. And many people will say, well, I can't delegate to someone else because I'm the only one that has that knowledge. You gained that knowledge somehow, and you can pass it on. And, Clockwork is a great resource for that trim, trash, transfer process. And it's a good starting point on how do you delegate and delegate well. So that, Adam, is your productivity bottleneck. And I'm excited because I hit it. Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes. Awesome.
Quick process.
Yeah, right? So quick. And you had the answers within you. So for those of you watching at home, impactivestrategies.as.me is where you can go to schedule time to bring your own challenge to the game and see if I can answer it in 3 questions or less. Super excited today. Erin Longmoon has agreed to join me to play the Guess Your Productivity Bottleneck in 3 questions or less. And Erin owns Zephyr Recruiting, where they find the unique fit employees for your business. Thank you for coming on, Erin.
I am so excited. This is like the guess your weight thing at the
right? But way less embarrassing.
And way less embarrassing. Exactly.
All right. So here's my question for you. When it comes to getting things done in your day, this is question number 1. Okay. What do you feel is the biggest challenge that you face when you're trying to get things done?
Knowing what I should focus on.
Okay. Tell me more. That does not count as a question. I'm just asking for clarification for those of you counting at home.
That's totally fair. My list is very long as the CEO of my business, right? I could be focusing my energies on all sorts of things and really knowing each day where I should put that energy, which items on my to-do list really should be the things I should focus on, connecting those to, which ones are really going to drive my business forward, that kind of stuff. It's just this is my biggest struggle is every day I'm like, out of the 100 things I could be doing, what should I be doing?
Okay. And has this always been a challenge for you?
No.
So question 2. So tell me more.
Okay. So it has not been, I can't really put my finger on, but certainly within the last 1.5 years or so as my business. So we're relatively startup. We just surpassed our 3rd year. And the first, 1.5 years or so was just getting started. And I kind of just knew what I needed to do to get the ball rolling. And then the ball rolled and we sort of exploded in 2019. And then it was rapid fire stuff just coming at me, right? Like a fire hose. Now all of a sudden we need real marketing. We need sales. We need processes. We need this. We need that. We need to build the team. We need to hire. We need to do all these different things. So it was just, just so much coming. So I'd say within the last 1.5 years is when this became a problem.
Okay.
For me. Yeah.
And what's your, have you read Clockwork?
I have.
Okay. What's your QBR?
Oh my gosh, now you have to remind me. It's been a while. My QBR.
So Queen Bee role, zone of genius. What's that thing that's you?
Yeah, the real thing that's me is the visionary person who creates the unique solutions to our problems and to our clients' problems. So I tend to be the visionary, the one way up here who, is solving the big problems.
And as a follow-up to that question, because I know I'm on my 3rd, but I'm following it up.
ABC, right? Like, yeah.
Right?
Three-
How much time do you spend as the visionary versus how much time do you spend as the implementer?
Oh, right. Or like the taskmaster or whatever. Okay, that is such a good question. I feel like I have to qualify that a little bit with a question. So I spend a lot of my personal and in between time being the visionary. I spend 0 time, active work time, being the visionary. So I think that's maybe my answer.
Okay.
So do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, when I'm showering is when I do it, or when I'm working out, or when I'm going for the walk with the dog, or but I never sit down at my desk and do visionary work.
Okay. All right. So those are the 3 questions.
Okay, cool.
And if we look at this in the realm of the 3-step process that we use at Impactive Strategies, what we're working through right now is that first step, which is the dream step. It's that awareness step. Where are you?
Mm-hmm.
Where is it that you're trying to be?
Right.
And this is a place where we start to dig into what's the bottleneck.
Right.
And the bottleneck I'm seeing for you right now is a lack of white space in your calendar in order to sit and think.
Interesting. Okay,
I'm seeing very reactive.
Yes.
And not as a judgment. This is totally not judgment.
Yeah.
It's a very reactive place because, like most of my clients, you had it all together and then your business exploded.
Yep.
And now you're in catch-up mode, and the systems that worked for you before and the processes that worked for you before don't fit now because the business is different now.
Right. Makes total
And
sense.
so it's that taking that step back, which then that becomes the second part, which is the decide phase.
Okay.
Which is now I know I don't have white space.
Mm-hmm.
I need to create white space.
Right.
What are the things I want to put in that white space? What needs to change in order to get that white space? And then it moves into the design phase, which is how do I do that in a way that doesn't rely on willpower?
Yeah.
Like, what are the pieces I do? So what I'm seeing is with white space, you have the time to be the visionary to say what processes work, what processes need tweaked, because you have an amazing process right now for finding the unique fit clients.
We do. Or that employees. Yeah, we do.
Unique, oh my God, I did it. Unique fit employees.
Yeah. You
got it. You have that.
That's dialed in. You're right. That part's dialed in.
And so then to be able to take that same idea and use it for all the pieces in your business right now that need fixed.
Gotcha. Okay. That sounds awesome. I think you're totally on it. I think you're absolutely right. Because even if I fit it in a little bit here, a little bit there, I never get to fully flesh out the idea because I'm also not in front of my whiteboard, which I love, or, not in front of a notebook. I mean, I can't write anything down in the shower. Sometimes I tell Alexa my ideas just so I can try to not lose them, but that's not efficient, so yeah. I see exactly what you're saying.
And you're getting little pieces of the ideas, though, just as an aside, they do make waterproof whiteboards for in the shower.
No way.
I'm not advocating not creating like decent sized white space, but if I have a client that has that in his shower. Yes.
Oh my gosh, that is so great. And I guess technically you could write it on the door if you can get it in that section that doesn't get slammed by the water, right? Oh, that's
right. Yeah, because I'll just say over and over in my head, like what it is that I thought of while I was in there. And I was like, just get the thing to write on. Like, why am I doing that? All right. So there we go. So thank you for being a contestant. And here's what's awesome. Your prize is the new awareness that you have around your productivity bottleneck.
Huge. That's huge.
And for those of you who are listening in and watching, if you want to be the next contestant on Guess Your Productivity Bottleneck in 3 questions or less, feel free, reach out and book a slot. You just go to impactivestrategies.as.me, jump into that 20-minute slot, and you can be a contestant too. And welcome, Laura, to today's episode of Guess Your Productivity Bottleneck in 3 questions or less. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I am doing great, and I'm super excited that you're here. This is Laura Palker, who is the CEO of Trade Show Solutions, and you're awesome, and I'm so glad that you agreed to play along.
Yes, I figured anything that you were doing, I wanted to be a part of. I always learn something really great from you.
Well, and fingers crossed, you will be able to say the same thing in just a couple minutes. So
Okay.
Here's our first question. What is it that keeps you from doing everything that you want to do each day? What's holding you back from getting everything you want accomplished?
I tend to put too many things in my calendar. I approached it this way. I looked at my calendar week after week after week. I'm saying, when is somebody going to make a calendar that's going to hold all of my things? And then all of a sudden, one day it dawned on me that, oh, there's 24 hours in a day and the calendar's not going to change.
Yes, you don't get that magic, 28-hour calendars. So you're putting too many things in your calendar. So my next question for you is, what is your best and highest use for your company? What is it that only you can do for your company?
Right now, I think that the best use of my skills and my talent is working with the client in understanding their needs and providing solutions.
Okay. And a follow-up question to this question is, when you look at all those things that you have, so your to-do list that is longer than the 24 hours that we have in the day, how much of the stuff on that list are things that fall into that category of working with and doing the things that you can do with clients?
Well, let's see. I would say that 60%.
60%. Okay. And as a follow-up to that, this is my way around keeping it to 3 questions. I'll just ask 80 follow-up questions. How much of the things that you're doing that you put on the calendar that aren't, or put on your to-do list that aren't getting done, like what % of the items that you're doing do you think that you don't get done and that you have to move to the next day?
So I will get things on the calendar, accomplish everything on the calendar, but then it's the work.
Mm-hmm. I love that ringtone. It's okay. You can let it ring. That used to be my old ringtone.
So then it's the completion of the work that's generated by what's on that call.
Uh-huh. All right. So the extra piece is to make sure I fully understand. So your calendar is full with appointments and things you have to do, and anything that's new that's generated is the stuff that is having a hard time finding a place.
Right. So now I had a phone call. We're going to engage. Well, now you need to go to the spreadsheet and you've got to start a job. So, then what happens is the folder gets stacked, and now there's 8 jobs that should have been opened. And if they were opened immediately, other people could start their work. When there's emails that are coming in, the emails are being answered, but there's attachments. And if I was working at full efficiency, those attachments would be downloaded and filed in the job folder, so that the next time I had to answer a question, I could go to the job folder and everything would be so nicely stacked in its proper place so that I could work more efficiently instead of still being attached to that email in the inbox.
Okay. All right. So based on what you're telling me, what I'm hearing is your productivity bottleneck is the fact that you don't have a buffer phone calls or after when you're having engagements to finish up the piece that needs to be finished up with that call. So like, I know that we had talked earlier, you're back to back to back with phone calls and things like that. And so you don't have that processing time built into the calendar. So if it's an hour appointment, there isn't that extra 15 minutes to open up the next job or to file the attachment or to do those pieces. Does that sound accurate?
At one point it was, and I did put in a buffer. And I blocked out breakfast, lunch, and dinner so that I would allocate time for eating, which sometimes I missed before. I put in a section at the end of the day for POs or anything like that had to be done, training. And I even blocked out Mondays in the calendar for being able to focus on cleanup and organization. And I'm still experiencing it just a little bit.
And are you following that? Are Mondays staying blocked out? And are those times for breakfast, lunch, and dinner staying blocked out? And are the times after appointments staying blocked out?
Well, I have a few people that have called me up and they said, I went to your Calendly and I can't see you till January. I said, well, I can slip you in on a Monday.
There it is. I think, Laura, we found it. So you have the right system. You're not following it.
Right.
And so there it is. You had me there for a second. I thought maybe I missed your bottleneck, but it is there. There it is. And so if we were to take that into a bigger picture of like through a process, if we're looking at it through the lens of our 3-step process, the first one is dream. And that encompasses where are you now? Where do you want to be? But specifically in reference to this call is the part of what is the actual challenge. And then that second part of that process is decide, which in this case, it's okay, decide, is the calendar the way I want it to be? And if so, will I then commit to following it? Or decide, is it that I want to have wiggle room to add people in which case, what does that mean? And maybe in your case, it means that 40% of stuff that you're doing that's outside of your zone of genius, maybe that needs to be delegated out so that you have less on your plate. But that's the piece, it's the decide piece. And then that last one is design. How do you create it so that it becomes easy and it falls in your strengths? And so in your case, if we're looking specifically at the buffer time piece, what could you do to design the calendar so you couldn't override it? If that were in fact what you said. And I am right there with you, Laura, because I will do the same. I block out Mondays to work on my business and do all these in follow up and make sure everything. And well, I can slide you in on Monday. And so now, like, I have a big Post-it note that says, you are not allowed to touch your calendar. Like, do not do it. All right. So how do you feel? Did we hit your bottleneck?
Yes.
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 Awesome and fantastic. So I appreciate you playing along today. And if anyone else who's watching this wants to play, I invite you to jump on, see if you can stump me in 3 questions or less. Just go to impactivestrategies.as.me. And here is another episode of Guess Your Productivity Bottleneck in 3 questions or less. Super excited that Megan Patton agreed to be part of the experiment with me. Thanks, Megan.
Absolutely. Love being a guinea pig.
And I'm happy that you've agreed to be one. So for those of you who have never met Megan, Megan is the managing partner at ODA Strategy, and she helps to link team performance with strategy. So individuals and teams, what they're doing to the strategy of the overall business. So Megan, here we go. Are you ready?
Okay. I'm ready.
Okay. So question number 1. Are you feeling any time stress right now?
Yes.
Okay, so the follow-up question to question number one is, tell me more.
Okay. Yes, I have so many projects on my plate, all pretty time intensive. They take me using my brain to work out solutions, and there's only so many hours in a day. So I feel a crunch in terms of do I bite off more than I can chew, or are my deadlines not long enough out?
Okay. And I'm trying to come up with a good question too. My brain is going 50 directions at once with you right now. How much white space do you have in your day?
Ooh, good question. On some days I have white space that I have intentionally put in there. Other days I don't have white space. I might have 10 minutes between a call, 15 minutes between a call.
Okay. And do you have a clear view of how the amount of time you have for committed to meetings, how long different projects that are on your plate are going to take? Like, do you have a good view of your time commitments? Data, not feeling.
Data,
Data.
meaning looking at my calendar and I see what's booked.
And like in having a good idea, like project X, I estimate would take X number of hours.
Yes. I probably am a little more fuzzy on the X number of hours. I estimate those. And, I know you told me one time a long time ago to estimate and then multiply by 3. I don't think I still quite do that yet, but I need to be better about putting those, if I think a project's going to take 20 hours, do I want to do it in 10 2-hour chunks, or do I want to do it in 4 or 5-hour chunks? I need to be better about booking that in, because my calendar books up so much with actual calls or coaching clients or, things like that, that I sometimes don't include that space. So that ends up coming in on nights and weekends.
There we go. So I think that
you just solved my problem.
I think I did. Yes, do you think we found your bottleneck?
I do. I think I need to just create that workspace, not white space so much as, okay, I'm going to spend 3 hours today on project X, or maybe it's only an hour and a half, whatever it is. I think I need to get those scheduled in my day, along with all the other meetings and whatnot.
All right. So here's the good news.
Yes.
We solved your bottleneck. So your prize is the new awareness.
Yay,
right? Yay. Because as you know, this is an experiment. We're trying this whole thing out, and the whole price thing, haven't quite figured out where that's going. But for right now, you have the awareness of what your bottleneck is.
That is awesome.
And what we're doing here is we're walking through a 3-step process.
Yeah.
And so step 1 is the dream phase. And it's really what do I want things to look like? Where are things sitting right now? And then that deep awareness of what is the challenge. And so we worked a little bit through that just now, because what you recognized was you're working nights and weekends, not really what you want to do. And the challenge is you blocking in the working time.
Right.
Then that second part is decide. And that's where you get to decide, okay, now what am I going to do about it? Which you've already said, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to start putting some time in my calendar.
Right.
And then that last phase of the 3-step process is design. And it's how do you design it so that you don't revisit this problem again in 3 months, 6 months down the road? How do you create the structure so that you can continue to do it over and over?
So what does design look like?
And so in your case, design would be I'm thinking something along the lines of your project management system.
Mhm.
Did you move to one?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so if you, let's pretend for, so we are now
That's a scary
uncovering,
thought.
audience, we are now uncovering bottleneck number 2.
Right, right.
But let's say, for instance, you were in a project management system of some sort. There would be a step in your template as you're entering in the things that says block in work time.
Right.
And
Okay.
then as you do that process, it is that reminder of, oh, estimate the work time, block it in.
Right.
Right now it's in your head.
Yep.
And so probably a good structure for that is a Post-it note sitting in your calendar
Mm-hmm.
that says block in work time, or something on your
Right.
planning sheet when you plan at the end of the week, block in work time.
Okay.
So congratulations.
Yay.
We
Thank
have
you.
solved your bottleneck.
Awesome.
And for those of you who are watching, if you would like to be a contestant, and the prize could be awareness, or maybe who knows, the next time we do this, there could be an actual prize.
Right.
If you'd like to be a contestant, just go to impactivestrategies.as.me and book a slot for the productivity bottleneck.
And
Thanks,
do we get
Megan.
retroactive prizes if you come up with one?
I can. So you heard it here first. At some point, Megan's going to get a prize. More than awareness. I don't know what would be more valuable than awareness.
Nothing can be more valuable, Lisa. And a few minutes of your time is all the prize I need.
Thanks again, Megan, for playing.
All right. Loved it. Thanks.